Hey folks, this is BestInSlot, and tonight we're going to discuss 5 potential marine aquatic species / genera that could be included in Jurassic World Evolution 2. Whilst we don't know how the marine system is going to work quite yet, we know it's going to have varied behaviours and include of course at least the Mosasaurus. I really only had 2 rules for this list. The first was to only include marine reptiles, which is specifically the language Frontier has used when describing the system. Maybe we'll get fish one day, who knows, but for now we're going to stay reptilian just like the royal family. Secondly, I've tried to keep things relatively varied. If we get 5 or so marine reptiles, the number roughly that I'd expect in the game, then it would be a shame for most of them to be functional clones of the others. So we're going to keep things a little bit mixed up. It's definitely leaning on the optimistic side, but hey ho. Now first up is probably the most obvious of the entire bunch, and that's the Placeosaurus. Why is that obvious? Glad you asked, YouTube person. Well, because it's already got a lot of history for the Jurassic Park franchise, and get those salt shakers ready, yes, but there have been suggestions it's due to appear in Jurassic World Dominion as well. They are only suggestions though, kinda like the way that the doctor suggests you stop eating blocks of ice cream every single day, and it doesn't actually mean anything, right? Right. So Placeosaurus is rumoured at least, and it was actually meant to appear in Jurassic World. It appears both in the Innovation Centre holoscape thingamajiggy, and also in some behind the scenes storyboarding. There was going to be a Placeosaur pool. Placeosaurus only contains one species, Dacosaurus, so if it makes it in, that'll be the species we get. Now Placeosaurus is mostly well known for its long neck, the tiny head, the wide, thick with 2 C's body, prominent flippers, and teeny tiny tail. All features that differentiate it fairly strongly from the Mosasaurus, which is a good thing. It was discovered all the way back in 1823 by famed and British fossil hunter Mary Anning. And Mary Anning actually had a series of 50p's created in her honour recently, upon one of which, there we go, there was in fact a Placeosaurus, and I have them, and they're very cool, if coins are cool, which they are, no further questions. Placeosaurus would of course need different feeding methods than the Mosasaurus as well. It's not about to chow down on a massive shark, but it would have fed on mollusks like snails, clams, and squid-like creatures called belemnites, as well as small fish. Both of those are things that would transfer well to other creatures on this list as well. At a guess, we'll probably see 2 types of feeder, a large one with like a great white shark or something, and a small feeder as well, which would have mollusks or maybe itty-bitty fish. Moving on to one of the marine reptiles that actually first sparked my interest in prehistoric life, Ichthyosaurus. I had these wildlife fact files when I was a kid, and I remember being obsessed with the Ichthyosaurus fact file. This was actually another one discovered by Mary Anning in the early 1800s. I promise this isn't on purpose, Mary Anning is just a hero, but Ichthy has a less storied Jurassic Park history than the Placeosaurus does. It's appeared in a handful of Jurassic Park games like the original arcade game where they, and I quote, "do not attack the player, but they can be shot." How wholesome. Ichthy is well known of course for sort of looking like a reptilian dolphin, with a very fishy dolphin-esque body shape, with that sort of chubby middle, and gigantic eyes that aided it in hunting in deeper depths, for the same rough prey as a Placeosaurus, mollusks and small fish. Now that's especially true for Ichthyosaurus, which across its multiple species maxed out at around 11 feet in length. Another ichthyosaur, the order not the genus here, it does get a little confusing, Shonisaurus, could measure up to 49 feet in length, which is a humongous size increase. There's a chance that in order to make these aquatic species easier to handle, we'll end up with just all of these larger species. A lot of these I'm going to talk about sort of smaller ones, but a lot of them do go up towards the 50 feet marker. But it would be pretty cool if our Mosasaurus could hunt down our Ichthyosaurus. Not cool for the Ichthyosaurus of course, but actual hunting behaviours between different marine reptile species would be a great thing to see. This would also count for the Placeosaurus, which would have been about the same size as the Ichthy, a fact that actually surprised me quite a bit. Placeosaurus I feel is always depicted as being fairly gigantic. Other species, like with the Ichthyosaurus though, other species in the genus were much larger. Third up is my wildcard, my optimistic choice in Archelon, the largest turtle to ever be discovered at a staggering 15 feet in length. An Archelon was a seafaring late Cretaceous turtle, only known through one species, Archelon ischyros. Archelon feels very well known, likely due to its huge size, but it's not been particularly prominent in the Jurassic Park franchise, having only one appearance in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder before its 2 appearances in the mobile Park Builder games where it inevitably mated with several porcupines to reach its final form. That said, it's a well-known animal with a unique rig and structure, but one that would still be able to feast on the mollusk feeder already established with the other 2 creatures we've talked about. Better yet, you could justify it, within the context of Jurassic World only really, as being an incredibly tough creature to hunt, one with such a high defense that maybe even the much larger Mosasaurus couldn't crack it. An underwater sauropod, sort of. Even though we already have Placeosaurus, you know what I mean. Unfortunately, Archelon probably wasn't that difficult to gnaw on in reality, but a boy can dream. And fun fact, to close it out, Archelon is also the name of a sea turtle preservation society in Greece, where you can sign up to spend your summers saving the sea turtles. Which you should, because that sounds super cool, and I wish I could do it. Maybe I can do it. For number 4, whilst I said we'd avoid the clones, it does seem inevitable that we get some rough duplication. I'll talk about that a little bit more at the very end. In terms of sheer numbers, there are 4 major groups of extinct marine reptiles, and we've already covered 3 of those. The 4th? It's the Mosasaurus, of course. Now, the Mosasaurus we have in the films is actually a made-up species called Mosasaurus maximus, but it's functionally very similar to Mosasaurus hoffmanni, the largest of all the mosasaurs at around 56 feet maxing out. We will not, however, be getting into a discussion about how big Jurassic World's Mosasaurus is, because it's basically a bloody kaiju at this point. Not all mosas were this huge, some were barely a few feet long, but Tylosaurus, my 4th pick, a genus within Mosasaur, could grow up to pretty similarly huge sizes around that 50 feet mark. As I say, Tylosaurus is my 4th pick, and not only does it have the benefit of being functionally very similar to the Mosasaurus we already have, but it is of course established within the universe already thanks to Jurassic Park the game, where the Tylosaurus had a pretty prominent role towards the end, and it was pretty cool as well, it must be said. It also appeared in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder like every other bloody species on the planet, and has made an appearance in Jurassic Park Builder as well as the story building for the long cancelled Jurassic Park animated series. Given its size, it's likely that the Jurassic Park the game version is Tylosaurus bernardi, which is the largest species of Tylo, but there's a huge variety in sizes that Frontier could potentially pick from if they want to nod to JPTG. Which is quite hard to say, while not being necessarily restricted by the same design. We've already seen that they're willing to make their own Troodon though, so I don't think that's too much of a concern. Finally then, we have an extinct crocodilomorph, in this case an extinct relative of modern crocodiles, as opposed to an actual crocodile itself. Crocodilomorph kind of encompasses both of those. This is Dacosaurus. Oddly enough, the type species is Dacosaurus maximus, but all of the Dacosaurs were approximately the same size, around 14 to 16 feet in length, letting them fit in nicely with the Placeosaurus and Ichthyosaurus from earlier. Dacosaurus is primarily here because I think it's cool, to be honest. I wanted something a little bit different. This potentially marine-only crocodile with a short snout hunted primarily fleshy prey in late Jurassic, early Cretaceous waters. Dacosaurus does have some history in the franchise, having appeared in both the mobile Park Builder games. Other genera of Metrioranchids, that's the family of crocodiliforms that contains Dacosaurus, did grow quite a lot larger, but Dacosaurus has the cool name, it's been in a few games already, and it's got those short snout crocodile features that make it a winner in my book. Not much else to say on this one, just think it would be cool, and it's different. Now, as for how I think this will all go down in reality, I'm placing my money, I've decided, on 6 total species with 3 groups of 2, probably covering the Mosasaurs, Ichthyosaurs and Placeosaurus. I think those are really the 3 that people most think of when they consider aquatic species, and it's just good sense to cut down on dev time a little bit and have some rigs that can transfer across. This would be a nice balance between copying rigs but also having nice variety in there. All that said, if they had, say, Ichthyosaurus and Shonisaurus, or Shonisaurus as mentioned earlier, they may both be ichthyosaurs, but they're going to present wildly different challenges for a park builder, just through virtue of being so entirely different in size. In reality, I don't have a bloody clue what's going to happen. Frontier could stagger us with tons of variation, or we could get 5 different mosasaurs. At the very least, I think we'll get some Placeosaurs and some mosasaurs. That's like my bottom line. I'm hoping for 3. The aquatic system is, for now, being held very close to their collective chests, like they're a big eldritch monstrosity, so it's hard to know what to expect really. But these are some of my favourite genera and species, and given the staggering variety in marine life, it would be a shame if they're not given at least some of the variation that the actual dinosaurs are given. All told, how big a part of the game the marine feature is will likely determine the answer to everything I've said tonight. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but it's exciting, and we can come back in a few months and see if I was right or not. What's your favourite genus? Favourite species? Would you swap any of these out for anything else? Let me know in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed this video, a subscribe if you're new to the channel, and maybe a muffin because it's like midday and I've not eaten yet, I'm kind of hungry. Thanks for joining me, cheers much as always, bye bye.